Hi everyone. Disk management. See, disk management. What is disk management? See, disk management is a disk management is a component concept. It will come under the operating system. It is a one component of operating system disk or disk. Then what is this disk? Why we are studying this one? See, we need to store data inside the system. Already you know that two types of memories, primary memory and secondary memory. When you are running the program, when you are creating the program, it will be created in the primary memory. When you are saving the data permanent, see that it will be go for secondary memory. Once you are switch off our your system also, data will be there in the secondary memory. See that then when you require the data, see that time data will move to the main memory to the secondary memory to perform and producing the transferring. The data will transferring from main memory to secondary secondary memory to main memory. We apply the concept of swapping. Then we use the certain scheduling algorithms. Your read and write arm data will reads the particular track, data will move to the main memory. Once the input output is requesting, once you request, the data will move to the main memory to secondary memory to main memory and for farming and producing the output. Then come under this the structure overview. The magnetic disk, we need to store the data. The disk means that is only the magnetic disk. Then there are many. The magnet disk provide a bulk of secondary storage. Modern computers nowadays we are using the secondary storage. The device rotates this at 60 to 250 times per second, means that much speed it will be rotating. The transfer rate is if the rate at which data flow between the drive to and computer, means your disk to your computer, means your secondary memory to main memory. See then positioning the time, random access time. If the time move disk arm to the desired cycle is called a seek time. The time for desired sector to the rotate under the disk head is called a rotational latchy. The positioning time is random access time. If the time to move the disk arm to the desired cycle is called a seek time, means your read and write it will go for particular which where you need to access the data. That particular sector is called a seek time. The time for desired sector to the rotate under the disk head is called a rotational latch. Means it will go for particular sector inside that. Head crashes. Result for the disk head making contact with the disk surface. That's bad. Disk can be removable. The disk attached to the computer is input output bus. The buses vary including AIDE, ATA, SATA, USB, fiber channels, SASI, SAS firmwares. The hosting control in the computer using the bus to talk. The disk control built into the drive or storage array. All these are we are using to the structure. So using this one we are transferring. See this drive attached by the computer, input output buses means using these buses data will be transferred to your hard disk to your computer, your drive to computer to the drive. So once it is transferring, then only where you need to store the data inside the disk. See there only we can fetch the data to transfer when we requested for that particular block data. See that is only the disk management. Then come to the hard disk. See hard disk is, see here the flatters range is 0.85 inches to 14 inches historically. Commonly 3.5 inches, 2.5 inches and 1.5 inches. Range for 30 GB to 3 terabytes pen per drive, means it is capacity nowadays. The performance transfer rate historically 6 GB per second. Effective transferring rate is 1 GB. Seek time for the 3 milliseconds to 12 milliseconds or 9 milliseconds commonly for the desktop drives. Average seek time measuring for the calculating based on 1 by 3 tracks. Latchy based spindle speed is per read per second. So that is only the 60 RMPS. Average latchy is 1 of latchy. The spindler is 4200, 7.4 average, 54,000, 5400, 5.56 average latchy. Then 7200, 4.17, 10,003, 1502 from Wikipedia. Solid state disks. See, non-volatile memory using for the hard disk. The memory technology variations. They can be more reliable for HDD. They are more expensive for megabit. May be have shorter lifespan, less capacity, but much faster. Say less capacity but much faster. The buses can be too slow connecting directly to the PCI. For the example, see no moving parts, so no seek time to or rotational energy. Solid disk means solid state disk. For example, you can go for the types of disk. See then CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, then solid state. These are the states we are using, and we are go for the characteristics of that. The magnetic tapes. See, magnetic tapes means in the beginning version of this was rarely secondary storage media. Nowadays, evolving the open spooling to the cartridge, the relatively permanent and old large quantitative for the data. Access time is slow. Random accessing 1000 times slower than disk, mainly using for the backup. The storage is infrequently using the data, transferring the medium systems between systems. Kept it to the spooling and hood and rehood fast rewrite head. Once data under the head, transferring rates comparably to the disk, 140 MB per second and greater, 200 GB to 1.5 terabytes typically stored. Common technologies are LTO 3, 3, 4, 5 and T1 10,000. See here we are using the magnetic tapes. So one more thing, it will be used in the magnetic tapes is rarely we are using nowadays. Then come to the disk structure. See here, disk structure means the disk drives are addressing to the large one-dimensional array of the logical blocks. Then logical blocks are into the smallest unit of the for transferring. Low-level formatting creating. Logical blocks are physical media. The one-dimensional array of the logical blocks is mapped into the sectors and of the disk sequentially. The sector 0 is the first sector, the first track of the outmost cylinder, mapping the process in the order through that track, then the rest of the tracks in the cylinder, and then through the rest of the cylinders from the outmost and innermost. Logical and physical address should be easy. Kept the bad sectors non-constant of the sector pre-tracking and constantly regular velocity. Means it is will be, they clearly mention that disk structure means it is 0 to start with 0, then it will be dividing the number of tracks can be dividing the number of tracks, sectors can be dividing the number of blocks. When we can go for applying the concept to store the, see already you know that in the file organization using the sequential organization, either we can using the index organization, either we can using the index sequential organization, either we can come to the data structures. Using the data structures, we using the linear queue means we are using the concept of linear data structure, either non-linear. Linear data structure means we can go for the arrays, we can save like that, we can store it continuously, we can storing. See, that is only array queue concept. Then come to the linked list, we can go for the where the space available, there only we connect it like that, we can storing the data inside the memory. Then disk attached, the host attaching the storage accessing through the input output port talking into the IO bus. Then SCSI itself a bus up to 16 drives on the cable. SAS initiator requesting the operation of NCS target for performing. Each target can have up to 8 logical units disk attached to the drive controller. FC is highest speed of serial architecture. They can be switched fabric with 24 bits address space. The basic of the storage area networks SAN, in which may host attached to the many storage units. The IT directly to the bus and device, the logical unit. Means here we can go for data to transferring using the input output port. We using the, these are the drives, we can transferring the data from high speed, and one more thing, we can using the logical unit to transfer the data. Then storage array. So just attach the disk array of the disk. The storage array has control to provide the features of attaching the host, port to connect host to the array, memory control of the software, sometimes is VRAM, The few to the thousands of disks, RAD technology, redundancy array interrupting devices, the old spares, hard spares and hard swap, discussing later. The sharing the storage more efficiently. The features found into the some files, snapshot cloning and thin replications. Then we can using the storage arrays, storage array networks, storage array SAN. Then we can using the LAN and WAN clients and server, the data processing center, web client process. Commonly the large area environment, multiple hosts attached in the multiple storage flexes. We can using the storage same like LAN and WAN, local area network and wide area network. It will be within the building, wide area entire where we using the data will be stored inside the using the SANs format. Then the storage area networks. SAN is one or more storage area connected to one or more fabrical channels switched. Host is all connected into the switches. Storage media available in the LUN mask from the specific arrays and specific servers. Easy to add and or remove the storage and new hosted to allocated storage. Our low latchy fiber channel fabric. Why have separated storage networks or communicated network considering a IACS? Then FCOE. The network attached storage, we call it a network attached storage, is storing the media available over the network rather than other local connection. They remotely attached into the file system. NFS and CIFS is commonly protocols implemented the remote procedure RPC between the host and storage over the typically TCP control transmission protocol and user data protocol. The internet protocol networks. The ICSC is protocol using the IP networks to carry the SCSI protocol remotely attached to the device block. NASA. See one more thing. What is this network attached? When we can using the servers, data will be stored in the server. See that time we using this network attached class. See come to the disk scheduling. They may have many resource the disk input output requested OS system process user. See sometimes when you can go for accessing that one data is it will be stored in the number of tracks. We using any SAN network area storages and this one, then one more thing hard disk, the magnetic data will be stored inside that. When we can go for accessing that one, we use there are many resources of the disk, the input output request. See that is one the input output request including the input and output module, disk address, memory address, the number of sectors to transfer. The OS is maintaining the queue to request for a disk to the disk or device. Idle disk can be immediately work on the input output request. Busy disk means the work must be queue. Optimization algorithm maybe make a sense when the queue is exist. For example, here we are using the scheduling algorithms are first come first serve, shortest jobs, shortest seek time first, scan and circular and C circular. We are using that one. The disk management is low level formatting and physical formatting, dividing a disk into the sectors. Then that will be disk is controlling can be read and write. Each sector can hold the header information, put the data and plus error ECC error correction code. Usually 512 bytes of the data can be selectable. To use a disk to hold the files, the operating system still need to record its own data structure of the disk. Partition the disk into the one or more groups in the cylinders, each treated by the logical disk. Logical format making a file system. To increase the efficiency of the most file system group blocks into the clusters, disk input output done in the block. The raw disk accessing to the application that waiting to be their own blocks, the management keep OS out to the way database for the example. Boot block initially system, the bootstrap is storing into the RAM. Bootstrap loader to the program stored into the boot block partition. The method such sector sparing using to the handle to the bad blocks. See boot block disk into the device means it is for a MBR. Then once it is loaded automatically the data will be partitioned. Data will be stored inside the address, memory, buffer reader. Then swap space management. Swapping means for example virtual memory when you can go for accessing. See data, see when for example your system space is full, that time we need to access that data. See that time we apply the concept of the virtual memory. We using the temporary memory to run the process. See the swap space virtual memory using the disk space as the extension of the main memory. The less commonly now due to the memory capacity increases. The swap space can be crowded out of the normal file system. More commonly, it can be in a separate disk partitions, RA. Swap space management 4.3 BSD allocated swap space when the process is starts. Word the text segment, then program the data segment. Kernel using the swap space mapping, the track swap space uses. The Solaris of 2 allocates the swap space only when the dirty pages in the force out of physical memory, not when the virtual memory pages is first created. The file data returned to the subspace until write to the file system request. Other dirty pages go to the swap page due to the no other boom. The text segment pages throughout the reread from the file system as a need. Some systems allow to the multiple swap spaces. See, these are the disk management. See, disk will be dividing when we require. See, here mainly concentrating only for conclusion of this is only when the data required. See, that time we can go for that particular hard disk. That time it will be particular track. Your read and write time will go for there. Then transferring the data from that read and write to your main memory and your computer to perform and producing the output. See, that is only the main thing of data management system. See, when you are giving, when you are storing permanently, data will be space will be allocated inside the disk. The data what you are given, the data will be stored inside the disk. When you want, that time it will be sharing from the disk, transferring from the disk. Then this is the mechanism of your operating system in disk management system. Okay, thank you.